Hi there folks, Spencer Rempel, the Moose Whisperer, coming at you, telling you great hunting and outdoorsman stories from around the world. But today, this one's coming at you from the coastal mountains of British Columbia. This is my own story and it takes place from about 8 years ago. I believe it was 2016 and I was a hunting guide. Like I said, in the coastal mountains of British Columbia, one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. And I had the excellent opportunity to bring out one fella who brought along 2 photographers with him. So we had one moose tag for the client, and then his 2 friends and co-workers, which were professional photographers, were coming along to document the whole thing. And throughout this and over my website, you'll see a lot of their photos. Big shout out and thanks to them. Anyways, here we are in the mountains hunting this river and all these beautiful meadows that are along this river. Fly in only, so it's a nice remote spot. There's moose everywhere. We're not in a hurry. We got lots to see. Don't have to take a shot here on the first or second day. But we did decide we found the most perfect spot and we wanted to get there and be there for very first light. So from this camp, we actually hunt by boat. And one of the problems, though, if you stay in your main camp and then you travel down river, is you can't travel until it's light out. So you get there a little bit past first light, and then you're making some noise getting up into the field. And as any hunter knows, that very first light is your best time that you don't want to waste. So we decided to go the evening before. We'd try a few calls just before dark, then we'd set up our tent and camp right there and see what happens. Well, the calls in the night before, nothing. Got nothing at all. But we seen good sign. Really good sign. Because just off from where we camped was a moose wallow. And that's a rut pit. And moose hunters will know about what that is that the bull moose will come and he'll stomp in an area, and he'll stomp a big kind of mud puddle area, really, is what it'll look like to you when you see it, because after he stomps all that grass up and makes it all just dirt, he'll pee in there. He'll pee in there like crazy. You know what? Basically, a moose wallow is like a modern day dating app for the moose, because he can go there and he leaves his information by peeing in there. He leaves his information, he can go away. Other females will come by, they'll smell that. They know exactly how big, strong, and virile he is just by the smell of it. In fact, they'll get so excited that they'll actually start rolling in it and trying to get that smell of him on themselves, saying, that is a big, strong, virile moose and I want him. So anyways, we knew this was a great spot for that. We got up early in the morning, spent the evening visiting. We actually stayed up probably later than we should, because when you get out with your friends and you get out with the fellow hunters and photographers out in the bush and the forest, I mean, the bonding that happens, it's just such a fabulous time. We were becoming fast friends and we shared stories that night later than we should have, but we still set our alarms and woke up early the next morning, of course in the pitch dark still, and got dressed in dead silence and started sneaking out to the edge of the meadow. To give you guys a little bit of a better picture of what this looked like, it was a huge meadow out in front of us. It had really good forest to each side. Behind us was the river, and then in front of us, the meadow, and then just behind that, up into a really steep mountainside. So it's really had the wind going the right direction too. So just kind of into the meadow, but a little bit off to the side. So really any of these, we just knew there's going to be moose hiding out to either side there. And if we could draw them into this open area, because where can you get a shot? It's thick as anything around there. So if we can draw them into the open meadow, then we can get a shot. And we've got shot there, clear open sight for probably 500 or 600 yards to the back of the meadow. So as we come in to the edge of the meadow, all excited to see what we can see there's nothing. So I give a couple of moose calls, and sure enough, out comes a cow moose. We're like, oh, well, that's a good sign. Where there's a cow, there could be a bull. We knew the bull's around somewhere because he's got that wallow there. And now we're thinking, okay, we're in the right time yet too. She comes out, she is wide-eyed, just looking for that bull, because I did a few bull grunts, and she is excited. Well, not 2 minutes later, another cow moose comes out, and almost immediately after her, another cow moose. We got 3 cow moose there. My photographers are having a great time. They're getting some really good pictures of that, and they're coming right close. So it was a really neat experience, just that alone. When all of a sudden, off to the other side, we hear a mwah, mwah, ah, 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 kind of like that. And out, we wait a little while. We're just patient, patient. Out comes a moose, but he's way at the very back end. I mean, the reason we seen him, we could see some bush moving like crazy, and then we spotted his antlers. He did have a pretty good rack on him, and then you know how that sticks out. And you get a trained eye, you can spot those antlers from a long ways away. Plus, all this forest was moving because he was just raking away in there, raking up all of the willows, big willow plants there, bushes there. And he comes out into the field. Well, he's 500-600 yards away at this point. We're not interested in taking a shot. We're just going to wait, do a couple of moose grunts, see what happens. Well, sure enough, he starts coming in. He knows those cows are there. And so he starts coming in, but he just comes in slow. And I thought with the cows there, thinking that there's another bull, he's just going to come running in, eh? No way. Not this guy. This big bull, he comes in slow. He's just taking his time. I mean, you should see this guy just saunter. He's like, and he'd go about 20 yards, maybe, and then he'd stop, make a couple of calls, find some tall grass or another willow bush or something there, and just rake like crazy, just showing off, displaying his antlers. Then he'd walk and saunter a little bit closer. Man, we must have waited 20 minutes, half an hour for him to close that distance. The cows waited too. They didn't run off to him. They were there trying to get him to come to them. And I totally expected that what would happen is he would come to them, choose one of them, maybe even start breeding right there, or choose one to try to take off or push off with him that he could keep to himself, the one that's closest to season, make some kind of a choice or do something. Eh? But no, he just kept coming closer and closer. And we had the fantastic experience of having him walk right past us. We just about could have stuck your finger out and touched him as he walked by, because he was completely engrossed in those cow moose that were just off to our right-hand side. So he walked right past us, right to all three cow moose. And at that point, I tell you, this big bull, he didn't give any one of them more attention than the other. In fact, he kind of looked a little bit bored. And he just kind of looked around for a while, sniffed them a little bit. They were sniffing him. They're going crazy. That's the wallow that they'd smelled. That's the bull that they want. They were all around him. And all of a sudden, just like that, he just turns and starts walking back to whence he came. Just walking back that 600 yards back to that bush line back there is where he's going. But this time, he just goes straight. He doesn't take his time. There's no stopping, no more raking, grunting, nothing. He turns, and without ever looking back, he walks. It just walks away. And I couldn't believe it. The three cows are still there. I've actually got my photographers out in front. I got my hunter here beside me, and all of this action happening right in between us. It was just an absolute dream of a day until this moose just leaves. I thought, well, that's odd. I really thought he would have, chosen one of these females here, or would have stuck around, or chosen one of these females to try and take off to the side or something. But no, off he goes. He gets about halfway through the field, and I swear, never looked back once, never stopped, when all three of these cows, with this real look in their eye, all of a sudden turn and just follow. Just like that. They just bolt after him, actually. They ran to catch up to him, and then they followed him right back into the forest of which he came. To where he lives back there, I guess. And we had the perfect chance for a shot there. It was a nice moose too. As he left, maybe at about 70 yards, it was just kind of the perfect angle and everything, and we really thought about taking that shot, but we decided not to. And a lot of people don't realize in hunting, lots of times you let animals go. You're waiting for a better shot, better conditions, better area. There's a lot of factors that we consider before we pull that trigger, right? And although that seemed perfect, really, we didn't have the heart to shoot that guy. He had done such a fabulous job. All three of those cow moose followed him back to his lair in the forest there, and we just knew he was going to have one hell of a day, and we weren't going to take that from him. There was other moose around, and we had time. You know what? Smaller moose is better eaten anyways. We were there really for meat, not for antlers, but for the experience, the friendship, that bonding that happened between us four guys. You wouldn't believe it. What a fabulous time. Thanks for listening, folks. Remember, that's what hunting is about. It's not all about the trophy. It's not all about pulling the trigger. It's about those shared experiences. It's about being out in nature. It's about seeing gorgeous, beautiful things like that, using your skills to bring a moose right in close. Man, my heart was pounding. Like I said, I could have just about touched him as he walked by. So get out there, folks. Get out there and get hunting. Get out and try some moose calls and see, bring your camera. Bring your camera. Even if you're not going to shoot, you're going to get some great pictures. See how close you can get to a big bull moose. You won't be sorry that you did. Bring your friends, bring your family along. Make it a great experience. Thanks for watching The Moose Whisperer, folks. There's more stories to come.